This week on LTC News, self-portraits in cloth.
Multicultural experience for each of the students as well.
Cool regroups.
Put together this new vision and mission statement.
And local reactions to Cambodian politics.
The international community help observe the election coming up.
Stay with us. Welcome to LTC News. I'm your news anchor, Alanna Flood. The cultural organization of Lowell, or COOL, has been around for many years in various forms, helping the arts community organize and promote its activities. After their official separation from the city last year, they've been exploring new directions and recently came out with a strategic plan. Andy Jacobson, the acting director, explains the goals for the organization going forward.
We're a nonprofit organization that's here to try to improve the vitality and economic growth of arts and culture of Lowell. We are just like any nonprofit. We receive individual donations, business donations, grants, so wherever we can find money. Over the last year has been really a transition period for us. Our contract ended with the city, which we've been sort of contracted with them for the past 5 years to sort of be the cultural affairs and special events office for them. So when that contract ended, we moved into the new space here at 122 Merrimack Street, and we continue to do what we have been doing, which is provide information and help market the events and programming of the arts and cultural organizations. In addition, we've opened the retail space. That allows another opportunity for the artists to reach customers, and different customers that they may not traditionally see over in Western Ave, Brush, etc. We've been working on Creaticity, which is the Lowell Art and Maker Festival that is happening in September of this coming year. So that is a big event, which will close down Market Street for 2 days and give us an opportunity with an artist marketplace, a maker festival, workshops, public art, stage performances, street performances, so a little bit of everything in 2 days on the 16th and 17th. We just recently went out with the our strategic plan this past week, so we invited everyone to this open meeting and public meeting, and we also posted on our website the strategic plan, which lists the process we went through. We worked with a strategic planner through the help of Jericho Road, and we've conducted over 60 interviews with different people from across the spectrum, and we helped put together this new vision and mission statement for our next 3 years out. And the vision is a vibrant and prosperous arts and culture economy in Lowell. So one of the first steps is to hire an executive director to then really start moving things along quickly. We really need to start thinking of the arts and culture not just as a community, but bring it up one step to an economy, to an industry, and really start bringing everyone together to work around. Because if the arts and culture economy can thrive, then that is only going to help the businesses in Lowell, as well as the property managers who are looking for people to move in for either businesses or personal residential, and as well as then it ultimately helps out the city as well in regards to tax revenue. So it's a win-win for everybody.
And now, Brian Dorrington, LTC Director of Municipal Programming, brings us his City Council synopsis.
Hello and welcome to the City Council synopsis for the meeting of March 21st, 2017. Once again, discussions around the new high school and the Article 97 restrictions placed on the Colley site took center stage. Last week, I actually made a mistake and called the Article 97 restrictions Chapter 97 restrictions. Cue egg on face. There were a total of 21 motions, 12 of which were related to the new high school. Much of the discussion centered around the city administration's efforts to replicate the 22.35 acres of recreational space they would need to create in an effort to overturn Article 97 restrictions. So, if the city goes through with the Collie option, they would also need to create 22.35 acres of recreational space at a new location. This is to make up for the loss of space that would occur with the construction of the new high school. Many of the councilors were frustrated because it is the state's opinion that the city must replicate all 22.35 acres, even though not all 22.35 acres are being used for public recreational space. For instance, the state considers the parking lot at Collie Stadium to be recreational space, even though it is in fact a parking lot. It seems to me the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs has finally given in to the almighty tailgating lobby. Councillor Rourke and others were frustrated by the lack of documentation that exists. The city could only locate one document relevant to the restrictions, and it only contained information related to improvements at Collie Stadium, not the entire site itself. Still, the state holds the leverage here, and if the city wants to remove the Article 97 restrictions, they'll have to replicate the recreational space elsewhere. Luckily, the city administration has already located several potential parcels of land. City Manager Kevin Murphy said he believes he will have the Article 97 issue resolved before the council takes their final vote on May 9th. Next week, the council will vote to send a request to the state to remove the Article 97 restrictions. Well, that's all I have for you today. Remember, you can watch the meetings in their entirety on LTC Channel 99 or on demand anytime at ltc.org. Thanks for watching. Be swell.
The discussion of the new high school location has been in the news daily, but there's so much more going on at Lowell High to talk about. In a well-worn room in the basement of the school, art is blooming. Through a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council, new immigrant students are paired with established art students to work together on self-portraits in cloth. This is the project's 4th year with artist-in-residence Margot Stage.
If you look carefully, this is something that she came up with all by herself. The eyelashes, which I think is just, and see how she's doing it? She's shredding the fabric to make the lashes. I'm really impressed with the most. We're working with 2 classes, one class of art students and one class that's called the newcomers class, and those are more recently arrived immigrant students, many of whom speak very little English. And we pair an art student with a newcomer student, so they work together. They have a partner, and they work together. So it's a sort of multicultural experience for each of the students as well. It's a project funded by the Massachusetts Cultural Council, where I, as a professional artist, come into the school and do a residency and work with the kids. And we're working specifically with fabric and fiber. Yeah. So these are the prior years. This young lady at the top here, she's an incredible artist. She spent hours kind of shredding fabric to get her hair loose like that and kind of create a 3rd dimension to it, you know. This is one of my favorites too, because it's such an unusual use of a patterned fabric as the face.
So on my project, I put a palm tree as my face background because of where I'm from. There's palm tree everywhere, and I'm from Vietnam. Oh yeah.
They can be as creative as they want to be. We're trying to get a portrait out of it, but you know, if they want to do something totally different than that, within the gist of a portrait, there's one of them around here that's like totally abstracted. Like this young lady, she was very, very shy, and she did not want to show her face, so she put a big flower over her face, and that's okay with me. This was a very sad student. I mean, I think he had lost a brother, and he also was from the Middle East, and so he made his face as a broken heart, and that, to me, was a perfect expression of self and of what he's going through.
I've been going through a rough patch mentally lately, so I decided to make make it seem like me by creating a very sharp contrast and a mix of colors that aren't necessarily always good to look at, and like just rough edges and just contrasting colors.
I want to hold this up for you because the thing that struck me is look at the mouth. I asked him whether he knew that that would really look like teeth, and he said he did, but I was amazed. There's a freedom to it, and I think an affirmation to it, to art, to being able to participate in art. We have a whole box of zippers, and some people have used them as mouths. Some people have used them as eyes. I think the thing about the project that I love is that it translates so easily across languages because we all have a face, we all have eyes and nose and mouth and hair and ears, and that's obvious. So even if you don't speak any English, you get the gist of what's going on, and kids have been able to create their faces with a lot of success, in my opinion. It's very exciting for me as an artist.
We've all seen that Lowell teenagers are talented, and last week it was confirmed again when 4 Lowell teens won the A-Town Teen Video Contest Award for Best Writing for their film, The Diversity Project. The teens created the documentary about the benefits of living in a diverse community during last summer's teen video workshop at LTC, led by filmmaker Dan Knapp. The A-Town Teen Video Contest films were shown on the big screen at the Regent Theater in Arlington on March 17th, and included films by teens from Arlington, Cambridge, Lexington, and Lowell. Congratulations to Emily Hogan, Patricia Shea, Chanel Cruz, and Kyle Ook. Here is a clip from their winning film.
This year, I started to become more aware of my surroundings, and I realized that my experience growing up in Lowell, Massachusetts was a unique one. I became curious about the concept of diversity in my own city. So we set out on the journey to discover what elements contribute to Lowell's diversity in race, ethnicity, and culture. We wanted to dig deeper. This is the Diversity Project.
It's just that seeing a different people of different race who are artists, who are involved within community work is acknowledgeable and is a good role model for other people to look at. I'm just looking forward to see the end of the show because at the end, all the dancers and performers come together and celebrate.
We are looking forward to LTC's 2017 Summer Teen Video Program when a group of teens will create an original supernatural film. You can get more information on this exciting opportunity that includes a cash stipend for participants at www.ltc.org. In a follow-up to other LTC stories on the political situation in Cambodia, Sobin Pen of the Khmer Post came to the studio to tell us about the opposition party's new leadership and how local residents can get involved.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on really recently in Cambodia in the political scene.
The political scene in Cambodia right now is at its peak, and it's changing every day. It's hard to follow, but those who follow it, they're on the top of it. And what changes we see is as a result of the National Rescue Party president, Sam Rainsy, had resigned. We have a new president who was then the acting president, Kam Sukha. He's now the new party's leader.
And has he been very close to Sam Rainsy?
He was. He formerly, as a president of his own political party before they merged back in 2012, president of Human Rights Party. And when they merged, they two work hand in hand since 2012.
And I understand that since he has stepped in, the party is not being threatened with being dissolved because of Sam Rainsy's involvement. What do people here in Lowell think about what's going on? Are they optimistic?
People are optimistic about the upcoming election in June because before they said, okay, the leader was convicted and they passed this law to dissolve the party, but then Sam Rainsy, as a result of that, he resigned, and now after he resigned, we have a new political leader party that came up with no criminal record. It's like, okay, now what? What's the next reason can the ruling party come up with an excuse with to use the intimidation for people moving forward with this election?
So maybe it's so much out in the open now that maybe the political process will have to go forward in a more fair way?
That's what people are hoping, but the EU and the United States say differently. They said such law that made to dissolve a party, a political party, so it might affect the election, that the credibility of the election is coming up in June. So that's the EU and the United States have said so.
What can Cambodian residents or any residents here in Lowell do to help the political process in Cambodia?
I think just like in Burma, people in Cambodia like to request the international community, Cambodian and non-Cambodian, to help observe the election process. We have the freedom to vote. We have the free election, but not fair election. So by helping is to help observe the international community, help observe the election that coming up in June, be aware of the issue that are going on there.
Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about what goes on in the next few months, and I'm sure we'll have you on again. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
In this week's Sunspot, Chris Scott, enterprise editor for the Lowell Sun, talks with Sara Bogosian, executive director of the Whistler House Museum of Art, about their upcoming gala and the 2017 recipient of their Distinguished Art Award.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Scott, the enterprise editor at The Sun. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Sunspot. With me is Sara Bogosian. Sara is the executive director of the Whistler House on Worthen Street, and she has some exciting news to share with us about an upcoming event in April. Sara, thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
I usually have politicians in that seat. It's nice to have someone who's not so political, and we're going to talk about something totally different this week.
Terrific. That's great.
So tell us about Mr. Costas and the event that's coming up in April to honor him.
Okay, why don't I tell you about the award first?
Sounds good to me.
It's the James McNeill Whistler Distinguished Artist Award. And we started this about 5 years ago. Our first recipient was Mikko Kaufman, the famous internationally known sculptor. And we only do this when there's someone that is important enough, that has done enough for the world
I like
of
that,
art.
rather than doing it every year
We
and
don't
just
do
trying
it
to
every
find
year.
someone, right?
Right. It is, of course, a fundraiser, but when James Costas and I started working together on the Art and Embassies program, I thought after everything he's done at the U.S. Embassy in Madrid, he was definitely worthy of the James McNeill Whistler Distinguished Art Award. The award is given to someone who has made a significant contribution internationally to the world of art. What's wonderful about this award is that it not only brings recognition to the recipient, but also to the Whistler House Museum of Art, and of course to the city of Lowell, which is one of my loves. Our recipient this year is James Costas. James was born in Lowell in the Highlands at Lowell General Hospital to his mother, Catherine and Charles Costas. He has two sisters, Maria and Elaine. And as I said, he grew up with all of his cousins in the Highlands section of Lowell, and then they moved to Belvedere. He went to Lowell High, the Lowell Voc, and then graduated from UMass Lowell with a degree in political science.
So hold on there for a minute. He went to Lowell High and the Lowell Voc?
Yes.
Usually one goes one place or the other, not both places.
Well, I was lucky enough to go. I was invited to visit with him at the U.S. Embassy in Madrid.
That must have been an exciting trip.
It was fabulous. And I'll tell you more a little bit about that. But yes, he had gone, I'm not sure which came first, if he went to Lowell High first or the Lowell Voc. He did graduate from Lowell High, but so I guess he finished up there. But I think he wanted to try a lot of different things, so he went to the Voc for a time and then came back to Lowell High.
Did he have a trade at the Voc?
Well, his sister told me. I don't even know if he knows that I know about this, but his sister told me that he was interested in becoming an electrician.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he went to the Lowell.
An electrician to diplomacy. That's an odd career path. But go ahead.
But when he went to the college, then the university, then he did take up political science, and so many of his friends are invited to this event. So it's going to be a wonderful homecoming for him. Getting back to why we selected him as the recipient of the James McNeill Whistler Distinguished Art Award. Ambassador James Kostos contacted me about 3 years ago, asking if we would like to be involved in the Art and Embassies program, which is put together by the U.S. Department of State. And what it is a program whereby embassies go out, there's a curator, they go out and they try to collect works of art from American artists, and they put the works of art in all the different embassies throughout the world. What is interesting and most significant with what Ambassador James did is that not only did he take the small amount that they normally take out and place in these embassies, he and his partner, Michael Smith, who is an award-winning interior designer to the White House, actually, they came up with over 90 works of art by American artists and artists that they totally put up in the U.S. Embassy in Madrid. They turned the U.S. Embassy in Madrid into an art museum. It was incredible. And
have you've been there and you've seen that?
I was invited to go. I was invited to stay at the embassy with the ambassador. He has it throughout the entire facility. We lent him 6 of the our original Whistler etchings.
Yeah, we did a story on that.
You did.
Right.
That's right. And those particular etchings graced his office in the U.S. Embassy. So when diplomats came from all over the world, they got to see the James McNeill Whistler etchings. And what Ambassador James would say is, these etchings, they were behind his desk. These etchings are were created by James McNeill Whistler. He was from Lowell. He was born in Lowell, and so was I. So he's.
That's
been,
cool.
It was a really cool thing.
Now,
Really
will those pieces of art stay there, or are they there just as long as he's the ambassador?
Well, now that he's out of the embassy, the works of art will be returned to the Whistler House Museum of Art. What I did what we did is made copies of the works, so we still had them on display at the museum, and those works of art will actually be auctioned off at the upcoming event.
So when you say he's not quite out, but his ambassadorship has been completed, that's, I think, standard in D.C. with the change in administrations. Is that your understanding?
Right,
Okay,
especially
that's
if you're politically appointed, which he was by Barack Obama.
That's fine.
Correct.
Okay, so those etchings that were hanging behind his desk in Madrid, you made copies of those so they'd be still displayed here in Lowell. Now, what did you say is which etchings are going to be raffled off to help raise money?
Okay, so we're having this wonderful event on Wednesday, April 19th, the James McNeill Whistler Distinguished Art Award. It's a big gala celebration. We have, in addition to the event itself, we have an art exhibition entitled Lowell, A Homecoming, in honor of the ambassador. And all the artists in Lowell, a lot of the members of the Lowell Art Association Incorporated, will be displaying their works. It'll be on exhibition in the corridor outside of the ballroom at the Inn and Conference Center at UMass Lowell.
How about my buddy Bill Jarvis? Will he have some works of art there?
Oh, definitely. Are you kidding? He's the grandfather of all the artists in Lowell.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's sort of another component of this event that evening. We have the art exhibition. We have a big cocktail party. We, of course, have the program. And this year we're going to have entertainment with Sabrina Alves and Flamenco Dance Project to pay tribute to James Kostos for his ambassadorship to Spain and Andorra. And they're quite a team. They have a wonderful classical guitarist and a vocalist and violinist, and there's 3 dancers, so it should be a fun-filled evening. And then after that, we're all going to party and dance up a storm.
That's great.
So.
Now, kind of in the coincidence department, Sara, Mr. Kostas' predecessor in Spain was another UMass Lowell grad. Tell us a little bit about him.
Isn't that interesting? It was Alan Solomont, who graduated from UMass Lowell, and he still lives in Massachusetts. And yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
And he's been invited to attend?
He's been invited to attend. I hope he's coming. We've invited the governor, the Consulate General of Greece, the Consulate General of Spain, and all of the politicians, Nikki Songus, and so we're hoping to get everyone.
But it's not about the politicians that night, it's about the artists.
No, absolutely. It's about the artists and about the ambassador and about the award itself.
Tell us just a little bit more about some of the other local artists who will be on display that night. I mentioned earlier Bill Jarvis. I've done a couple stories on him. He's a great local character.
He is.
And he does some nice job with his Lowellscapes. Who else are we talking about? Who else will be on display that night, Sarah?
We're talking about Janet Lambert-Moore,
Oh, there's another classic.
Simcoe, Dave Drynan, Don Willett, Don Sullivan, all of the active artists in the community. We're so lucky to have such a wonderful group of artists as part of the Lowell Art Association. A lot of them are also involved in Western Ave Studios, The Brush. We're so lucky to have this community of artists here. The Lowell Art Association, what's interesting about us is that we are the oldest incorporated art institution in the country. So, yeah, that along with the Whistler House Museum of Art, we're proud of what we have here in the city of Lowell as well.
You mentioned earlier that the first recipient of this award was the late Miko Kaufman. He passed away last year, and I'm assuming that you'll have some members of his family attend as well?
Actually, his partner Elsie will be with us that evening. In addition to that, the award that's being given this year was actually created by Miko Kaufman. It's a smaller version of the statue, the monument we have in Whistler Park, and it's a statue of James McNeill Whistler.
So it's like a little bust. Is that it?
It's a full-length view of James McNeill Whistler. Right. So that's going to be the award, which is, you know, it's wonderful to be able to use one of Miko's wonderful works. So.
I'd like to go back to the philosophy of this award. Sarah, you've been to a lot of social events in Lowell, as I have as well, and you know they're annual. And sometimes we won't name any of these events, but you say, okay, we've got this annual event again, and we know all these annual events are fundraisers. But what I think is kind of cool about this is that you don't do this every year. You only do it when you feel you have a recipient who is worthy of the award. It's been 5 years now. This is only the second. So could you expand upon that a little bit?
Well, you know, there's so many fundraisers and so many different events in Lowell, and they're all wonderful. But we feel it's most important when, particularly with this award, we don't just want to give it because we want to raise money for the Whistler House or for the proceeds of this particular program are going to our Youth Summer Art Program, which brings a 4-week program of drawing, painting, sculpture, and printmaking and collage to low-income and middle-income students. In addition to that, we're trying to raise money for the restoration of the historic house. So although that's important, we want to make sure that this award is again, given to someone who's really worthy of it and not just to name a name just to raise funds, you know, so.
Which we both know happens on a yearly basis.
Yes, it does.
Sarah, we're running out of time, so if someone wants to attend this event, how can someone acquire tickets and how much does it cost?
Okay, so the event, you can go to www.whistlerhouse.org to purchase admission online. You can also call the Whistler House Museum of Art and call myself or Brooke Behrman at 978-452-7641. And we welcome everyone. Everyone is invited. The price of the ticket is $150, but that includes the price of cocktails, dinner, the entertainment, dancing afterwards. So it's a fun-filled evening. And we're hoping we get as many people as we can.
Great. And how many can you accept?
Up to 300.
Up to 300. And how much are you hoping to raise?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, you know, 6 figures is always nice. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but we're hoping to do so.
Great.
So.
All right, Sarah. Well, good luck with that event. Keep us posted.
And I hope you're coming.
So the Sun will be well represented that evening.
Okay, good.
That's it for this edition of LTC News. You can find us on channels 8 and 99, on the web at ltc.org, or check for the link each week on Facebook. I'm Alanna Flood. Thank you for joining us.